Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are fine. I am T. Sivasankar, Department of Botany. You are most welcome to Fertility Metric online classes. Okay students, today we are going to discuss about 12th standard Unit 6 Reproduction in Plants. In this chapter, we have to discuss about asexual and sexual reproduction in plants. Already you know well in lower class for what is meant by asexual and sexual reproduction. Once again, asexual reproduction means the without fusion of gamete which involve to form young one. That is called asexual. Another one is the sexual reproduction, the fusion of both male and female reproductive gamete called sexual reproduction. So the asexual reproduction takes place by spore formation. Another one, sexual reproduction takes place by gamete formation. Okay, right. The next one, the sexual reproduction topic. So this one is carried out by the two even. In generally all angiosperm plants, the sexual reproduction takes place in two even. The first one is the pollination, is followed by fertilization. So second event is the fertilization. So the both pollination and fertilization, these two events are carried out successfully and produce young one. This is the general phenomenon of the angiospermic plant. Okay. The first of all, the first event is the pollination. What do you mean by pollination? You study in lower classes. So the transfer of pollen grains from anther, see that this is the male reproductive part, another one is the female, the stigma. So the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the flower is called a pollination. Isn't it? Another one, fertilization. So the pollination followed by fertilization process. So fertilization, you know that the both fusion of male and female reproductive gamete. Okay. The next one, the pollination is the characteristic features of the spermatophytes. What do you mean by spermatophytes? So spermatophytes means spore means seeds. Then phytes means plants. It is one of the Greek words. Spermatophytes means Greek word. So the example, gymnosperms and angiosperms. So the spermatophytes which include gymnosperms and angiosperm. Then gymnosperm means the open seeded plant. That means opposite is the angiosperm is the closed seeded plant. This is the you studied in lower class. Okay. The next one, how to carry out both gymnosperm and angiosperm plants in the for pollination process. See, first one, gymnosperms, how to carry out? So the pollens are deposited directly on the exposed ovule. How to? The pollens are deposited directly on the exposed ovule. Here the pollens, after when the mature the anther, liberate the pollen and reach to the stigma. This process is the directly on the exposed ovule. Then another one is the angiosperm. Then angiosperm is the pollens are deposited indirectly stigma of the flower. So this is the opposite. Gymnosperm means the pollens are deposited directly on the exposed ovule. Then angiosperm means the pollens deposited and the indirectly stigmas of the ovule. This is the general phenomenon of the how to carry out in the gymnosperm, angiosperm for the pollination process. Generally, majority of the angiosperm plants are carry out the open type of the flowers to carry out pollination process. See that. Next one topic is the angiosperms. Then angiosperms having two type of the flowers. The first one is the chasmocamus flower. The second one is the clistocamus flower. Then the chasmocamus flower means, so the flowers open and exposing anther and stigma for takes place pollination process. That is called a chasmocamus. Then another one is the clistocamus. This is the opposite. So chasmocamus is opposite word for that clistocamus. Both are Greek word. So the chasmocamus, clistocamus, both words are the Greek word. This is the open type of flower. Another one is the closed type of the flower. See, that is the opposite. Then the closed type, then the clistogamous means the closed type of flower and exposing the anther stigma to take place the pollination process. So such kind of flower is called chasmogamous flower. Such kind of flower is called for clistogamous flower. See that such a kind of phenomenon is called chasmogamy. So such a kind of some phenomenon is called chasmogamy flower. Then such a kind of phenomenon is called clistogamy. What is that? Clistogamy. Then next one, types of pollination. Another one, types of pollination. So the pollination takes place in the two events. Is that? So first one, cell pollination and cross pollination. So the types of pollination, so that generally in all angiosperm plants, flowers are based on the classified according to the flowers of pollen reaches. Flowers of pollen reaches, they have classified into two categories. The first one is the cell pollination, second one is the cross pollination. So the cell pollination is also called autogamy. What is that? Autogamy. Then second one, cross pollination also called the allogamy. So both are Greek word, autogamy and allogamy. Not only for these two, the majority of the for technical words are obtained from the Greek, either Greek or Latin. Either Greek or Latin. See that auto means self. Auto means self. Gamy means marriage. So that means so the pollination takes place in own itself. That is called self pollination. Second one, cross pollination. So allo means different. Two different kind. That means allo. See that what is mean by self pollination? So transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the same flower or different flower of the same individual plant. That is called self pollination. Another one, cross pollination means so the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the different kind of tree but same individual species called cross pollination. It is also called allogamy. What is that? Allogamy. See that next adaptation of the for cell pollination. Already we know that what is mean by for cell pollination and cross pollination. Then cell pollination means already you know that so transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the for same flower. So that is called cell pollination. Then cross pollination means transfer of pollen grain is transfer from one flower to the another flower of the different tree but the same individual. So cell pollination also called autogamy. Then cross pollination also called allogamy. Majority of the cell pollination flowers so to carry out in bisexual. So whereas not possible in the unisexual. Moreover, for cell pollination is some plants for plants carried out by the cell pollination is the possible only for the possible for some bisexual flower. Not possible in the unisexual flower. Because of unisexual flower means you know that bisexual, unisexual. So bisexual means both male and female reproductive organ seen to be the same individual flower called a bisexual. Another one, unisexual means the male and female reproductive flower seen to be the separate for flower. That is called a unisexual flower. Okay, then for cell pollination is possible only for the bisexual, not possible in the unisexual flower. Okay, next one for adaptation. Generally for three types of adaptation there. First one clistogamy, second one homogamy, third one incomplete dichogamy. That first one for the clistogamy means the closed type of flower. So the both the male and female reproductive organ are seen to be the within the flower condition, within the flower. That is called clistogamy. For example, Commelina viola axalis. Commelina viola axalis. In Commelina plant is one of the special kind of plants. This is one of the special kind of plants because these plants having two types of flowers there. The first one chasmogamous and a clistogamous. Because two kinds of both open and closed type of flowers seen to be the plant. So the chasmogamous means you know that already. So that is the for open type of flower. Chasmogamous means a open type of flower. Then it is one of the aerial flower, because these plants have the two kinds of flower. The first one aerial type of plant, another one is the underground then second one is the underground type of the flower. Then first one aerial type is the chasmogamous, underground type is the Xii-Std. So aerial flowers is so bright in color, it attract bees and honeybees to carry out pollinating. So the aerial type of flowers have depending upon the many pollinators, whereas the underground type of flower, that is the Xii-Std flower, showing so dull in color, looking so dull because they seem to be below the ground, showing very dull, because these flowers are borne the subterranean branches of the rhizome. You know that rhizome? Rhizome means underground part of the region called a rhizome. That is the rhizome. Then second one is the homogamy. Second one, homogamy. Homo means same. Gamy means marriage. So the same time, within the same time, both male and female reproductive organ mature the same time. That is called homogamy. Because majority of the homogamous flower, so the self pollination is the occur. Majority of the for homogamous flowers is the self pollination possible. Self pollination is possible. For example, Mirabilis jalapa. Second one, Catharanthus roses. First one, Mirabilis jalapa. It is from the botanical name. For the general name is the evening primrose or 4 o'clock plant. Evening primrose or 4 o'clock plant. For the Tamil name is the Andi Mandare. For Tamil name, Andi Mandare. Then second one, Catharanthus roses. It is one of the, for botanical name, for the Tamil name is the Nitya Kalyani. For Tamil name, Nitya Kalyani. So these are both reproductive organ mature at the same time called homogamy. It is opposite word. Third one is the dichogamy. Homogamy opposite dichogamy. This is the both reproductive organ mature at the same time called homogamy. Then dichogamy means both male and female reproductive organ is mature at a different time. That is called dichogamy. Different time is called dichogamy. What is mean by incomplete dichogamy? Dichogamy means both male and female reproductive organ mature at a different time. That is called dichogamy. Then what is meant by incomplete dichogamy? Here the overlapping for some essential organ, both androecium and gynoecium has the overlapping, so that only the incomplete dichogamy. Overlapping means the petals or even androecium and gynoecium overlap one more one. That is called for incomplete dichogamy. So that's all for the for some adaptation of the cell pollination. Carry out the three way. First one Xii-Std, homogamy, incomplete dichogamy. That's all. Then next one cross pollination. Next one cross pollination adaptation. First we have to discuss about the adaptation of cell pollination. Next one adaptation of the cross pollination to carry out by the two events, that is called geitonogamy and xenogamy. Geitonogamy and xenogamy, that is called the cross pollination adaptation. Geitonogamy means the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of a same flower within the same individual called geitonogamy. That is called geitonogamy. So the transfer of pollen grain from one flower to the another flower, but the same individual species, same individual plant called geitonogamy. Then another one xenogamy means so the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the different tree but the same individual plant or species. That is called for xenogamy. So the xenogamy, even geitonogamy, both are the type of the cross pollination. So the first one geitonogamy is the functionally similar to the cross pollination. Functionally only the cross pollination, but it is one of the similar to the autogamy. Similar to the autogamy. Because of why? Because of both are takes place in the same flower. Same tree from one flower to the another. That is called geitonogamy. Second one for xenogamy. Okay, students, for next once again we recall that for adaptation of cell pollination having three types: cleistogamy, homogamy and incomplete dichogamy. So cleistogamy having the two kinds of flower, both aerial and underground part. Both flower are seen to be the for this plant, that is called cleistogamy. Example, Commelina. Example, full name is the Commelina bengalkensis. Second one, homo, same time. So both male and female reproductive organ is mature at the same time, called homogamy. Example, Mirabilis jalapa, Cathranthes roses. Third one, incomplete dichogamy, that is called dichogamy. This is the opposite way. Homogamy, same time, this is the different time. Both reproductive organ is mature and disposal of anthers in different time, called incomplete dichogamy. The next one, cross pollination, is the geitonogamy and for xenogamy. Geitonogamy and for xenogamy. This is the functionally for geitonogamy is the cross pollination, but it is the same for the self pollination or autogamy. Then first one, and then for second one is xenogamy. Xenogamy, you know that already. So the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the different tree, but the same individual piece is called xenogamy. Okay, students, but that's all for today classes. Tomorrow we have to discuss about the contrivances of the cross pollination. So contrivances means some mechanism which takes place for cell pollination. Thank you very much.